Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my videos. If you've clicked this link, you probably already know what I will be making, and you're probably a fan of the movie that it's based on, and that movie is They Live by John Carpenter. Yes, I'm making another John Carpenter cake. If you didn't see my previous video, I made a cake sculpture based off of the spider crab head that's seen in The Thing, so make sure to check it out. But yeah, They Live is probably one of my most favorite John Carpenter movies, if not just one of my most favorite movies in general. I recently went to the Alamo for the first time. Well, it's been, I don't know, probably half a year by now, because they were screening They Live, and I thought it was a perfect time to check that movie theater out for once. And I had an awesome time. It's just a really cute theater. I went to the one in downtown LA. It's awesome to watch good horror, eat some decent food, and drink a beer or two. I actually promised myself to buy tickets in April when the new Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Rise, comes out. This has nothing to do with They Live. I'm just really excited about that movie. Check out the trailer if you haven't. It's really creepy and awesome and fun. Anyways, They Live. The movie stars Roddy Piper, who was a former wrestler. Fun fact, he actually starred an episode of Celebrity House Hunting with his wife and kids, and he seemed like just the coolest guy, absolute sweetheart, genuinely kind person. Rest in peace. Of course, we can't forget how amazing Keith David did as well in his role in that iconic fight scene. I just love everything that he's in. I'll stop nerding out now. So in the movie, the two characters basically take on an alien invasion that goes mostly unseen by the human population of LA. The only way that you know that they're aliens if you have these very special set of sunglasses that makes you see right through their disguises. I remember the very first time I saw this movie and they did the big reveal of the alien, I was honestly kind of creeped out. It's just very jarring and brutal to look at. They kind of remind me of that scene in Treehouse of Horror when the Simpson family gets their bodies turned inside out because of that nasty fog. I also have a mask of it because I bought it for my husband for his birthday. And I always make sure to hide it when my baby nephew comes around because I really don't want to freak him out. So yes, I will be making a dessert version of the alien. I actually didn't use cake this time. I just stuck with Rice Krispie treat. The reason being that I prefer eating Rice Krispie treats to cake. And also I ran out of butter and didn't realize it and didn't have enough to make frosting. So we'll save the cake for next time. This time we'll do an alien Rice Krispie treat. Hopefully that doesn't make you lose any interest or anything. I also wanted to add, please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I know I say it all the time, and so does the rest of the world, but it would really help me out. All right, so please sit back and enjoy. So I'm starting off with the basics. I took out my armature wire I had already had on hand. The stuff is so lightweight and easy to cut with pliers. Plus, it's super cheap. I got it at Michael's, and they give you like a good amount when you buy it, and it has really changed my life after using just random wire pieces I had on hand, and even floral wire. That was pretty much a nightmare when I used to do sculptures before. Then came making the edible materials. I had used the original like standard Rice Krispie treat recipe this time, and that turned out to be a mistake. I should have listened to the internet about making like sculpting specific Rice Krispie treats. So the OG recipe, obviously it tastes way better because it uses butter, but that butter kind of screws you when the whole point of using it is so that the crispy treat retains its shape. The butteriness just makes the whole thing like a little too loose, although delicious. And at times I could see the material start to sag off of the armature wire. So hot tip, don't use regular Rice Krispie treat mix or recipe when you have to make sculptures. Then came a bunch of boring steps to make the modeling chocolate, and I made several colors. It's the same steps I use every time. It's a super simple recipe, but it just drives me crazy, especially in terms of cleanup. I really don't get how people clean up sticky sweet things. All I want to do is like melt it and dump it down my sink, but of course, you're gonna ruin your plumbing. This is definitely probably my least favorite part of baking, whether it's making modeling chocolate or frosting or even baking sponge cake. The cleanup is just a nightmare. Second least favorite is how flour and powdered sugar just tends to get everywhere for some reason. I have to say my hands are really tired and sore after this. It's not the most pliable stuff to work with when it's at room temp. It really works better when it's like warmed up a bit, so this is just definitely a hand strengthening workout. There's my dog. Yes, she's in a stroller. She's 16 and has attachment issues, and this was the best solution I came up with, and she likes it. So after the basic base sculpt is done, the first step is for me to take that modeling chocolate I had made and add one layer of it to the Rice Krispie treat. I decided on using black for this entire layer. The black would be like his nose. The actual alien nose is black, but the rest of it I just kept it the same color because it's just a base and it really gives me a feel of what I want him to actually look like, and it also gives me a very clean surface to put like all the fun little details on top of. You'd think this part was boring, but it was actually really fun trying to figure out how to get him to look right, like look somewhat human, because I hadn't really done that too much before. I also added a simple base layer for where his clothes would lay. So now that's done, and I can start my second layer, which is everything pretty much except for the blue veins and his hair and the bony chin part he has. And boy, does he look ridiculous and slendery. I mean, this step just made him look even more insane, like the judge from Who Killed Roger Rabbit. Yes, absolute nightmare fuel. Safe to say, this was when I started to feel some of my insecurity creeping in. Like, am I going about it all wrong? Why does it look so particularly janky? But I soldiered on. A big part of my second layer was getting his red skin applied. And this is when I was like full-blown doubting everything I had done up until this point. He looked like a bad piñata of Deadpool. But again, I tried to block out all those negative thoughts. In fact, I tried not to really think much at all at this point. I find it helps when I'm not feeling great about things. Not sure how healthy that is, but at least I'm keeping myself busy. I started to engrave all these lines into the red materials so it would kind of look like he had the texture of human muscle. Finally, the part to help it get it out of its Deadpool piñata-like state was laying down all the blue veins. At least that's what I think they sort of look like. I first sort of mapped it all out, not really caring how accurate the vein details were. I just kind of needed to lay it all out and then go in after with the carving. Then I laid down his lower jaw, so the character kind of looks like he has his bony chin exposed on his face. It would be the same color and material it also used to lay down his teeth. So basically he's pretty much half exposed flesh and then half exposed bone in human terms. Then came the hair, which, if I'm being really honest, I didn't take too much time doing. I know I should be better about doing things carefully, but I tend to just get really excited about completing the project and seeing it all together. I will say the brown candy melts really smelled and tasted like actual chocolate, which was nice. Usually candy melts I buy are the standard vanilla flavored, which are actually also tasty, at least in my opinion. And carving out the teeth. Apologies if I skipped a little bit. You obviously didn't see the part where I actually laid the teeth out. But I did take a good chunk of time doing this. I always love doing the teeth for some reason. Maybe I'm facing my fear of the dentist, which is the true horror in my life. Finally, the eyes. They have this kind of asterisk engraving in the eyeballs. I didn't mind that this wasn't too clean and precise. I just wanted the effect to come out. And then jumping back to doing his hair, I do tend to go back and forth when creating bigger projects. It might seem random and annoying, apologies for that, but I don't ever usually have everything perfectly planned out. I kind of ride the wave, so to speak. It makes it stressful sometimes. I don't know why I do this to myself, but it's also kind of neat to see how the process plays out. I got this silver pigment powder from a brand called The Sugar Art. I bought it off of Amazon, but I'm pretty sure you can find it at your arts and crafts store. I think people usually like to mix this with vodka and use it like paint. It's great because it doesn't beat up like liquid food dye or edible brush paint does. I found that, however, because his eyes were already moist, that I didn't need the vodka and I could just carefully press on the powder. I was a bit nervous that it would come off too glittery, but in the end I really liked the effect. The most boring part would probably be when I had to slap his clothes together. He's supposed to be wearing a suit, but of course, since it's a bust, I thankfully only had to do a partial amount. final step was to paint all the shadows and details to really make him pop. So the coloring on the actual alien is super vibrant and looks almost cartoony. So I could have left him just like this and the colors would have been okay, but it's always nice to add more interest to the look, and I also really like to paint, and I should definitely practice it way more. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, although you should. Just kidding, do what you want. But I joked that this felt like I was contouring his face. And here he is. And that was my They Live alien dessert sculpture, or more like Rice Krispie covered in chocolate sculpture. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I did falter here and there. There's always moments of like weakness and insecurity when I'm making something, just because I wasn't comfortable with this sculpture in terms of like the anatomy. I don't have a lot of sculpting human faces in my background, but this is just more practice for that, and hopefully that means I'll have more human-based or more realistic looking sculptures in the future, so please do stick around for that. I also want to mention, you may have noticed that my channel is like part making creepy cakes and the other part is showing like what I cook and what I eat. And I've decided for the new year that I will be separating these two topics into two different channels. So Cat Mukki, the one that you're on, is going to continue to have those creepy cakes and Rice Krispie treats and maybe some other crafts thrown in here or there. And then I'm going to have a new channel called Katana Eats. Katana is the nickname that my husband uses for me, and that will be dedicated to like what I like to eat, what I cook, mukbangs, cheat days, and so on. So if you're a little too obsessed with food and eating like I am, definitely check out Katana Eats. If you just want to see horror, sci-fi, and anime-themed edible art, please stick with this channel or subscribe to both. That would actually be super awesome. Make sure to like and ring that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time.